When I opened the box, my heart nearly stopped. Inside lay a frail kitten, barely able to lift his head. His small, broken body was curled on its side, trembling with exhaustion and pain. My breath caught in my throat. "What did they do to you?" I whispered, fighting back tears. Leonitis had just been brought in by the police department, part of a heartbreaking cruelty case. The officers had found him tossed into a trash can, discarded like garbage. His tiny frame bore the weight of unimaginable suffering. I didn't know what to do at first. Shock paralysed me. He was seizing, his muscles stiff and unresponsive. "You're going to be okay," I murmured, though I wasn't sure if I believed it myself. This kitten was beyond malnourished. His ribs jutted out sharply, his fur was patchy and lifeless, and his teeth had been knocked down. He was skeletal, a mere 1 pound 6 ounces when he should have weighed at least 5 or 6 pounds. How had he survived this long? How had he endured such cruelty and still found the strength to lift his head and look at me? The weight of his suffering was almost too much to bear. "I need a heating pad and oxygen now," I called out, my voice shaking with urgency. As I held the oxygen mask to his tiny face, he did something that shattered my heart. He covered his eyes with his paw, as if trying to shield himself from the world. As if he had learned that every time a human came near, pain followed. Tears blurred my vision. "I'm going to help you. I promise," I whispered. We placed him in an incubator and did everything we could to stabilize him. But the more I learned about his past, the angrier I became. This wasn't just a case of recent neglect. Leonitis had been starving for a long time. His suffering had been prolonged, deliberate. The sheer cruelty of it made my hands shake with rage. "You don't give up, and we won't either," I promised him. I tried offering him baby food on a spoon, but he was too weak to even lift his head. Every second counted, so I rushed him to the emergency vet, my heart pounding the entire way. When we arrived, the news was grim. His body temperature was so low it was undetectable. The vet looked at me with a mix of pity and exhaustion. "We recommend euthanasia," he said gently. "This little one might not make it through the night." I clenched my fists. "Are you going to save this one, or are you going to save 50 others?" The vet pressed, his tone practical but cold. "This is a waste of money." I looked down at Leonitis. His tiny body was barely clinging to life, but his spirit was still there. He had survived this long. He was fighting. Who was I to decide his fate? "Both," I said firmly. "We'll find the money. It will come. He deserves a chance." And then, something incredible happened. People started donating, support poured in from everywhere. Hope, once so fragile, was growing stronger. The next morning I called the hospital, dreading what I might hear. But the voice on the other end told me something miraculous. Leonitis was sitting up. Then another update. He had started eating. And then something that made my heart swell. He was purring. When the staff approached his cage, he walked up to them, his tiny body filled with cautious hope. Despite everything, he was still capable of trust. He was hospitalized for 3 days, and each day he grew a little stronger. When we brought him back to our medical facility, he continued to amaze us. His fur started growing back. His eyes, once dull and clouded with pain, shone with new life. And the most unbelievable thing? He was the most affectionate little kitten I had ever met. Leonitis didn't just survive, he thrived. He would curl up in my arms, his tiny body vibrating with soft, happy purrs. He'd flop onto his back, exposing his belly, his way of saying, "I trust you completely." After everything humans had done to him, he still found love in his heart. "I promise you," I told him one night as he nestled into my chest, "no one will ever hurt you again. Letting go of him would be the hardest thing I'd ever have to do." But Leonitis deserved more than just survival. He deserved a family who would love him unconditionally. He was healthy now, full of life and joy, and he bore no scars of his past in his heart. His resilience, his ability to forgive, was nothing short of miraculous. Leonitis' story is more than just a tale of survival. It is a testament to the power of compassion. He reminds us that no matter how much darkness exists in the world, love will always shine brighter. But for every Leonitis, there are countless others still suffering in silence. Kittens left to starve, abandoned in trash cans, subjected to cruelty beyond comprehension. We cannot turn a blind eye, we cannot stay silent. If this story touched your heart, please share it. Be a voice for the voiceless. If you see an animal in need, act, rescue, foster, adopt, donate. One act of kindness can change a life. One moment of compassion can save a soul. Leonitis survived because people chose to care. Let's make sure no other animal has to endure what he did, because every life matters. Thank you for being part of this journey.